everyone. Welcome to the Jujiteiras podcast. My name is Stacy. I'm a Jujiteira, and this is my podcast. I am so excited to start this podcast and share all these stories with you. This is the very first episode, and I am super excited. This episode is my chance to just introduce myself so you can meet me, your host. So, who am I and how did I get here? Well, let me tell you the story. But first, you need to understand some background information about me. So, I was never an athletic kid. I mean, unless you want to count the half season of soccer I did in the 4th grade. But I was always overweight. I spent all my free time reading or watching TV or just kind of sitting around. And I always cringed at having to do anything in PE class. Not only because I was awkward as a kid, but also because it was really difficult to do because I had no athleticism whatsoever. And over the years, as I got older and I started to get more into trying to have health and fitness, I was actually more of a start and stop kind of person when it came to fitness and health. Although that kind of whole background saga is a story for a different time. Today, I'm just here to sort of introduce how did I get started with Jiu Jitsu in the first place. So, let me tell you the story. I'm going to go into as much detail as I can without naming any actual names for legal reasons, I guess. So let me set the scene. Once upon a time, I was working in the hospitality industry at a hotel in downtown Chicago. I was a member of the front desk staff, and so part of my job was to be in the courtyard and assist guests as they came and went, getting luggage in and out of vehicles, hailing a taxi, giving directions, helping people find their Uber, stuff like that. So it was on one such night in early January of 2016 that the event happened. And in my mind, the words "the event" are capitalized because it's a whole thing, right? This is the event. This is the day that changed my life because this is the event that made me want to learn self-defense. But I'm about to tell you that. So, on this night, I was outside assisting guests coming and going as per my job. So there's this one guest that came outside to wait for his Uber. He was very, very, very drunk. He had been staying at the hotel for several days, and this man was drunk as a skunk every single day. He was making all of these staff uncomfortable, men and women, and this day was no different. Okay, so he comes out and stands by the door for a minute until a car pulls into the courtyard. So we also had a valet team at this particular hotel, and the valet was already dealing with a car right in front of the door. So this car that drives in, it doesn't quite come to the front door. It just kind of parks a little off to the side. So this guest just walks over to that car. He opens the back door and he just gets in. You guys, that was not his Uber. That wasn't even an Uber at all. Y'all, it was another guest. Oh my God. So it was a woman and she was freaked out. She immediately got out of her car. She starts hollering for the valet. I'm just what the heck is going on over there? But I can't really leave my post because there's other people coming and going and I'm supposed to stay over there. And so the valet is running over there and the guy gets out and I didn't know what was going on at the time. I just had seen him getting into a car. I just assumed it was his Uber. Found out later it was not. I see him get back out and the driver gets out and there was multiple valets over there and I'm just what in the world? So the driver was a guest. She was another guest. and she had given her bag to the valet, and she was just like walking into the towards the front door for like the lobby and stuff. And I offered to escort her in, and she's like, no, that's fine. I'm good. I'm just like, I just don't want to be around people right now. I'm just like, girl, I get it. It's fine. So she goes inside. I'm like, okay, thank God that she's not like super duper upset. I feel like for her part, like she could very clearly recognize that this man was just insanely drunk, and he had obviously gotten into the wrong car by mistake. So thank God for that. But also, like, so this guy is like still hanging around the cars, and he's like trying to like chat with the valets or whatever. He's also very clearly super embarrassed. Which, I mean, at least he had enough wherewithal to realize that he had just made this like huge mistake, and he had enough like wits about him to even be feeling embarrassed. So, you know, he's like walking back towards the front door, and he's trying to like laugh it off, and like, you know, I'm working at the hotel, and like this is my job, and I'm just trying to like diffuse the situation, you know, whatever, you know. So I'm also trying to like laugh it off. And so then he's like walking towards the front door. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. He's just going to go back inside. But then he's like we're all kind of out there trying to laugh it off. And he's like, I don't even know what was going through his head at this time. I feel like this was some sort of combination of like being grateful that nobody was like yelling at him / I don't even know what. But basically at this point, like, he is like coming towards me and almost like cornering me like by the planter by the front door with his arms. And his intention was to give me a kiss, and I didn't want that. He had his arms out. He had like his lips puckered. He had come close enough to like put his hands on my biceps and was like leaning in. And I'm like doing one of those like, you know, like, have you tried, people who have cats, if you've ever tried to like kiss your cat and your cat is like trying to keep their head away from you, and like they just kind of make that like type of face the whole time, I was doing one of those. At the same time, I'm just like, maybe we should just go inside right now. So what ended up so he did not kiss me, thank God. I did manage to get him distracted enough, redirected to go into the lobby. Also, one of the valets had come over and like was talking to him too. And he went inside, and then after I saw him kind of like walk towards where the elevators were, I go inside, and I'm telling like my colleague friends at the front desk, I'm like, y'all, this just happened. You need to get security and have security go like watch that guy, check up on him, because like he's a problem. You know, like this dude is piss ass drunk. This like crazy ass drama just happened in the courtyard. He's scaring guests. He's like trying to assault the staff. Like this dude no. So, okay. So then my friends at the front desk are just like, oh my God. So, yeah, they called security. You know, there's at least 2 security officers on the site. So like one went to go find the guy, and the other one came out to talk to me and just be like, what in the world happened? And I was like, let me tell you about it. So I told him the whole story. And then, you know, then he, with context, you know, he's like, okay, so this is what this guy is doing. Like, we need to watch him super carefully. So they did, and which is great. But then I'm like, okay, like now that things have calmed down, I had to go back outside. Like I still had like the whole half of my shift left. So I had to go back outside, and I'm standing outside, and like one of the valets had come out just to like talk to me or whatever, you know, cause like I guess everybody was just like weirded out by this whole thing that had happened. And then when the valet just like went back inside and I was out there by myself, I started like really reflecting on the situation that had just happened. And you guys, I was furious. I was just absolutely incensed, you know? And it's probably not for the reason that you guys are thinking. So during the almost kiss incident, my first thought, like my first like gut reaction at the time was, I'm going to punch this motherfucker in the face. Right? But then my second thought was, wait a minute, there's cameras out here. Plus, this is my workplace. I've only been here for a few months. Like, I'm really not looking to get fired or for some of these bougie ass people to try to like press charges or whatever. So I decided not to do anything. I just kind of was like, doing like the cat lean, like, meh, and like trying to convince him to go inside. So really I felt like I only had two options. I felt like my two options were either to, number one, punch a guest in the face at my place of employment, or number two, do nothing. And that's what I ended up doing. And I was so angry, you guys, because I felt like I didn't have options. I just felt like I didn't have options. Like, I felt like I was kind of stuck between two extremes. Like, it was either do something super drastic or do nothing at all. And that was what was so infuriating about it. I hated that feeling. I was like, this, because like, I mean, listen, you guys, like, I wasn't so naive to think that like, no guest ever is going to try to do that to me ever again. Like, I knew it was going to happen again. I was like, people are like stupid and, they make bad decisions and like, especially when they're drunk and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I absolutely hated feeling like I didn't have options, that I either had to do the most drastic thing I could think of or do nothing. And I hated that. So that's really what lit the fire inside of me. And I told myself, I was like, no, I need to learn self-defense because I am never going to let this happen to me again, where I feel like I'm stuck. So that was really the moment of like clarity, I guess, for me. That was the moment where something in me shifted and I was like, no, I'm going to do this. So then I ended up going on like a 2-week research rabbit hole because so I knew I wanted to learn self-defense, but I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to learn. Like, I had to kind of figure out what options there were. I was like, well, I don't know. Like, do I want like a women's self-defense class? Okay, well, maybe do I want like martial arts? I think maybe martial arts. Okay, like which one? There's so many. So during this like research time, as I'm just like Googling, self-defense, martial arts, that kind of stuff. Y'all, it literally just started with a Google search. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, let me ask Google, So anyway, during one of these Google searches, and then you guys know how Google goes. Like, you just start scrolling, and then like one, there's kind of, they all tie into each other. So through this like Googling process, I ended up finding Henner and Eve Gracie on YouTube, and I found a couple videos where the two of them were demonstrating self-defense techniques from guard. Specifically, Eve was in bottom guard, and then Henner was in her guard. And so she was basically showing like how the guard can actually be super powerful for women. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. I was like, that's what I need this one. So I was like, okay, so jiu-jitsu, this seems like the best one for me. So then I was like, okay, well, where am I going to do that at? Because like, I figured that Chicago probably had places, but at the same time, like, I didn't want to have to come all the way out to Chicago to like do all this stuff. So I was like, okay, well, is there a place to do this in my area? So then I had to go back and ask my good friend Google, where can I train jiu-jitsu in my area? And that's basically how I found my academy. And it was, kind of what like made me, sorry, I'm laughing at the memory, but like what kind of made me decide on my academy versus other places is because I looked them up on Google, or actually I just Googled, places to train jiu-jitsu around me. And my academy popped up, and so I was like, okay, well, let me see. Like, so I was looking, like, I looked at the website, and I was like looking at the Google reviews. You know, I was really like I was very interested. I was taking this very seriously, y'all. This was extremely important to me. I needed to find the right place. So, so I was looking on the Google reviews, and I saw this one, like, it was a really like mean review, like, you know, just kind of tearing them down. And what really convinced me that I wanted to train here, even though I was reading a bad review, you guys, even though I was reading a bad review, but like what really convinced me that I was like, okay, well, maybe I want to train here, is because of their response. And oh my God, I'm never going to forget this. So, I mean, I haven't memorized it word for word, but the basic like idea was that they had responded to the review, basically saying like, hey, you know, username of person, we've searched our records for your name, and like your email address and whatever. We cannot find you, so you were never a student with us. But if you'd like to come and check us out and see what we're really about, come in for a free intro lesson. And I was like, oh my God, this place, like, not only are, like, listen, okay, oh my God. Okay, so I worked in the service industry for too long. And there's nothing I love more than, like, sticking it to people who are talking bullshit. And so the fact that, like, they actually went and they're just like, listen, we checked our records. You were never our student. So, like, kind of like, why are you leaving us this shitty ass review when you literally never trained here? And then also not just like sticking it to them, but then inviting them to come in is like, hey, listen, you know, if you're curious, if you want to actually find out what we're about, just come on in. We have free intro lessons. And I was just like, this is the best. I think this is the place I need to find out. So anyway, oh man, sorry, I'm just like laughing at the memory. Yeah, so that is why I had decided to inquire at my academy, and then that's what happened. That's where I've been. I've never trained anywhere else. I don't intend on training anywhere else. I love my academy. I love the people there. I'm extremely happy, and I've been there for the past 7 years. I mean, it's 7 years now at the time of recording this. And yeah. So, okay. Transition. So, okay, so that's my story. Now I kind of wanted to throw it off to you guys. Like, so I'm sure that like way too many of you listening out there can relate to this kind of origin story of mine. And so basically, if you don't already train jiu-jitsu or self-defense, I would very highly encourage you to look into it. And if you're not sure how to find like a good academy, or how do you find the right one for you, I'm going to tell you all about that next time. But in the meantime, I would love to hear your stories about how you got into jiu-jitsu. You know, like, was there an event like there was for me? Or did a friend invite you? Or, you know, did you just like walk by and just be like, that looks like fun? You know, stuff like that. Just let me know. Or if you're thinking about starting, let me know, you know, what part of jiu-jitsu you're interested in. Like, what's caught your eye? Okay, so you guys, this event is, I keep calling it the event. That's just how I think of it in my mind. This event is really what got me in the door, but I stayed because I love it so much. And this love for jiu-jitsu, the funny stories and lessons over the years, and the friends I've made along the way, this is what I'm going to share with you on my podcast. And I'm really looking forward to sharing and growing this community with you. See you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast, give it a rating, and leave me a review. If you have any questions for me, or if there's something you want me to talk about, then DM me on Instagram at Jujiteiras Podcast, or email me at jujiteiraspodcast@gmail.com. These will all be linked in the show notes below. See you next time.